What's good, y'all? I'm Jerry, about to check out 10 wrestlers who shockingly quit WWE during the storyline. This video is about wrestling flashback. This list can go, it can have anybody on the list, to be honest. It can go from CM Punk to, I think, Bret Hart during the Montreal screw drop. Batista quit like twice during the storyline. I can't really think of anybody else who might have quit. Naomi and Sasha Banks, who they reportedly quit. They were still under contract though. So we about to hop into this video, man. Let's go.
Despite seeming so larger than life on screen, wrestlers
Stone Cold Steve Austin as well.
They can grow unhappy and burned out in the workplace.
You take my career. You try to shit can that. That didn't work. You don't care about a human being's life.
On top of this, they might have to work to the point where walking away is the only option. For this video, we're
Cody
highlighting
Rhodes.
various examples of talent that quit over the years.
There's another
we
one.
cover 10 wrestlers who walked out on the company. By the summer of 2002, Stone Cold Steve Austin had been fed up of WWE's creative for a while. His character was going around in circles, as old storylines were being rehashed with far less stakes. From being paired with Scott Hall in a middle-of-the-card match at WrestleMania, and then no-showing Raw the night after, to the tiresome angle with Ric Flair which had no direction. Steve had requested to work with Eddie Guerrero, and they were set to face off on pay-per-view. But the final straw for Austin creatively came after he was booked to lose a King of the Ring qualifier on Raw with no build against the
I get why he was mad, because there was no build up to it. It was just on a regular episode of Raw.
The following week, WWE told their side of the story.
And Stone Cold was the biggest star in the company.
On their confidential show.
It always worked that way, but when someone won't sit down with you, they refuse to show up.
I agree to why he did it, why he walked out.
His professional career.
This is where they coined their iconic phrase, Austin took his ball and went home.
He spits in the face of everyone, whoever supported him, spits in the
They
face
try to
of
make him
everyone
seem like he was the bad guy
who helped him become
for
the
doing what's
talent
right
that he is.
and
Meanwhile, on
pushing
Raw,
the
The Rock
business
returned
forward.
a month early to fire a warning to anyone else on the roster that was unhappy.
If there's anybody in the back that does not want to be with this company, then just like the slogan says, you get the F out!
In 2003, JR mended fences that allowed Stone Cold to return and finish up his in-ring career at WrestleMania 19.
And sometimes you make decisions you regret. That was one of them, and I own up to it.
After 2 years of great success, Brock Lesnar got his fill of wrestling come the start of 2004. This was mainly due to the grueling travel schedule.
And Brock comes up to me and says, I can't take this anymore. I can't travel overseas all the time. I like to be home. I like to hunt and fish.
I was built to be in the ring.
Right.
I wasn't built to get from ring to ring.
Lesnar had ambitions of playing in the NFL and made up his mind to leave in February of 2004, walking away from a 7-year, $6 million contract.
Oh,
That was to Vince right there. That wasn't to the fans. Everybody took that the wrong way.
After a brief stint with the Minnesota Vikings, the WWE tried to prevent Lesnar wrestling in Japan, resulting in a legal battle which Brock won. Lesnar later expressed interest in joining Kurt Angle in TNA. However, the company were unwilling to give Brock a big money contract on the same level as Angle.
He said, hey, what are you making? And I told him what I was making. He said, if you can get me that, I'll come. And I approached TNA and they said no.
In 2022, Lesnar was said to have
what
WWE.
would have happened if Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle on the same roster in TNA?
The former chairman's misconduct allegations coming to light.
With
Although
that
Brock
type of
ended up
schedule that
appearing on the
TNA
show,
had, would have
we
been
later
perfect for
learned
Brock.
The reason for the walkout was as a result of Lesnar also being involved in the controversy surrounding McMahon.
Be a monster.
At the start of 2001, Jerry
hell?
Lawler and his wife, the Cat, were featured in a storyline.
I forgot
with
Jerry
the writers'
walked
sense.
out
in the
as
middle
well.
Of the feud, the Cat was abruptly released from the WWF after the creative said she was hard
He
to
came back like a year later.
Would you do me a favor and just tell him to call me back later? I'm kind of
Oh
busy right
my.
now.
This came as news to many, including the King, who, following discussions with both JR and Vince
They ended up
McMahon,
divorcing,
chose to
like,
quit
not
the
too long
company
after
in
that.
solidarity with his wife.
Last Tuesday night, the Cat was released by the WWF. Jerry the King Lawler walked out right alongside with her.
I said, well, what's the reason? What did she do? And Vince said, I really don't know. He said, not my decision. And I said, not your decision? Well, whose decision is it? He said, I guess creative's.
Usually when someone has a bad attitude or something's wrong in the company, they'll call them aside and pull them in their talent relations room and talk to them. Nothing has happened like that.
Damn.
I said, JR, I don't believe this. You know, there's something more to it than this. And he said, well, that's just all Vince told me. And he said, I was just wondering if you could tell her.
I wonder why he came back though.
Behind something that she was going to do. If you're a good producer, you got no problem with talent asking questions because you can explain it and sell it to them. But in any event, they lost patience.
It was just a short time later that Lawler would learn his wife was having an affair with another man.
Whoa!
This caused King to end their relationship. Shortly after, Lawler was asked to come back by WWF and made his return the night after Survivor Series 2001.
But tonight with Trish Stratus and Stacy Keibler and the Fraud Vantage match and the Kingsman, all is right with the world.
In 2021, Jeff Hardy was at the lowest point of the WWE totem pole he'd ever been as a single star. And with Matt Hardy enjoying a featured weekly presence in rival promotion All Elite Wrestling, fans were calling for Jeff to reunite with his brother and join him in AEW. However, Jeff was still under contract until the end of 2022. But after he walked out of a tag match during a house show, many questioned if
that
Jeff's
was legitimate. I thought he was.
It was one of the smartest things.
And
I've ever
intoxicated
done.
or something.
Everything worked out so perfectly.
Some feared Jeff had relapsed after a period of sobriety. Jeff denied these claims and insinuated that he walked out on the match because he was ready to leave the company.
Whoa.
WWE, who had feared he'd relapsed, asked Jeff to enter rehab, but after he refused, Jeff was granted his release. Then after learning Jeff had passed the test, the company offered him a return, including a place in the Hall of Fame. Hardy refused and instead signed for AEW.
I mean, it's still the same Jeff.
Fans have speculated that Jeff walked out of the tag team match on purpose in an attempt to get fired. Next, we have an example of 4 wrestlers who walked out on another company to join the World Wrestling Federation. We're talking about when the Radicals
baby.
to the WWF in 2000. The men were a part of a syndicate of wrestlers that were unhappy with their positions in WCW and wanted out.
We weren't happy with that structure. They totally treated us like we were the enemy.
This group also included Rey Mysterio, Conan, and Shane Douglas. However, the WWF were not interested in either of those 3, so they stayed put. Guerrero, Benoit, Saturn, and Malenko, on the other hand, were eventually granted their releases, but only after an incident between Benoit and WCW agent Mike Graham forced this to happen.
So Mike said, well, fuck you guys, I'll stab every one of you. He threatened us. I called Time Warners and said that they were supplying an unsafe work environment for all of us. And we made it to a big fucking deal where they had no choice but to let us go.
Benoit didn't trust Graham because he was good friends with Kevin Sullivan, and there was heat between Sullivan and Chris due to Benoit getting with Kevin's then wife, Nancy.
Because I'm Kevin's friend, and you want to fire me? I said, I'll cut your fucking head off.
After being disillusioned with WWE's creative for years,
Ryback is never coming back to WWE.
Ryback was adamant about not re-signing with the company in 2016. In his final months, the big guy clashed with the higher-ups. He was upset over the pay structure and didn't want the company to have control of his social media. Ryback was completely checked out by the end. Fans could tell this by how he taunted ex-rival CM Punk by copying his taunts and moves on screen.
The one side is completely off. Could be 99 time. Well, this is the mentality Ryback has always had. He's always felt that.
Damn.
He sees anyone else, he always felt.
Ryback even got in Vince McMahon's face after Vince scolded the big guy for doing the Feed Me More taunt despite being a heel.
I wanted to let my contract run out, and I was threatened. I was told they're gonna job me out, pull me off TV, and fire me. I walked out. I told them to take me off their TV show. I was asked if I wanted to see Vince. I said no, in not so nice words.
Vince McMahon gets up out of his little chair in the gorilla position and was furious. And he comes marching over to me, in which he says to me, "Are you fucking stupid?" I literally get right back in his face, and I go, "No, are you fucking stupid?" Vince McMahon went back and sat down and put on his headset and didn't say a goddamn word to me. Business has been so shitty for so long because of one man, Vince McMahon. One man and his greed. And I promise you it won't be a good ending for him.
It was just a few weeks later that Ryback walked out for good. In 2017, Neville had reached his ceiling in WWE.
They should have did way fucking more with Neville. Excuse my language.
But upon doing all he could do in the Cruiserweight division, many expected him to return to wrestling as part of the main Raw brand. However, after being asked to lose a match to Enzo Amore for a second time, and with no plans laid out for the future, Neville felt that he had to quit then and there. Neville's previous opponent in the Cruiserweight division, Austin Aries, had felt the same creative frustrations in the months prior, which resulted in his exit. However, unlike Aries, Neville was not granted his release straight away. Neville remained under contract
until
August
contract
2018,
for
which
no
was when
reason.
he officially left the company, a whole 10 months after he'd initially eventually walked out. A battered and creatively stifled CM Punk was on a collision course for Danger prior to his WWE departure in 2014. He was upset about being snubbed in the main event of WrestleMania and prevented from getting movie roles, sponsorship deals,
he had the longest
by the company,
WWE Championship reign at the
not
time.
to mention the bad creative and being made to wrestle while
that still don't make sense to me as to why he didn't get the WrestleMania main event.
Had to leave before something even more serious occurred.
His health. Ooh.
The WWE doesn't do anything to protect the wrestlers. They do things to protect themselves. If I didn't leave and walk out, I would be dead. I was sick and I was hurt and I was messed up.
Punk's departure and subsequent lawsuits that came from it forced some big changes within the company.
Good thing he's back now and happy.
More time off, especially when hurt or in poor mental state. In 1995, Jeff Jarrett was in the midst of his run as a country singer, where it was said to be revealed that it was actually the roadie that was singing Jeff's songs all along.
Spend my days working hard on the go. Put the hands on the clock, keep spinning too slow. I can't wait to be alone with my baby.
Sound familiar? That's the real Double J, Jesse James.
But before this could happen, both men promptly quit the WWF. This went down after the In Your House 2 event after Jeff had lost to Shawn Michaels.
Oh my goodness! Yeah! Yeah! All right, Barry, where are you? Barry the
Jarrett and the roadie Brian James were meant to do their split following the bout, although they instead exited the ring, left the building, and then the entire company as a whole.
We're going over the performance. Vince, can we
I thought it was a money thing.
I really don't think we should
with Jeff Jarrett.
No, you really didn't even give me the time of day. I don't want to do this angle at all. Matter of fact, I think it's very detrimental to my career. So much so I don't want to do it. I'm just going to go home with no plan in place.
Why give them the angle to cause further confusion? The end of the story is Double J losing the belt to Shawn.
I just literally left because Jeff was. I just went with him because I was stupid.
Double J felt it was too early to do the breakup and didn't want to stay if it meant that was the direction. Brian James agreed and left in support of Jeff. Jarrett returned later in the year for a month, only to leave again.
But you told him, like, I'm injured now, I'm going to stay home and I'm not coming back for the rest of the contract. Is that how it goes?
Yes.
He sat out the rest of his contract and signed for WCW in October 1996. On the May 16, 2022 edition of Raw, Women's Tag Team Champions at the time, Naomi and Sasha Banks, walked out during the show due to creative issues. WWE released an official statement regarding the incident and subsequently stripped both competitors of their titles. The company also addressed the events on both Raw and SmackDown of that week.
They took their ball and went home.
Let us all down.
They made this like so much more than what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a private situation.
Naomi and Sasha would officially exit the company once their contracts expired.
They
Naomi
put it on
joined
TV.
Impact before returning to WWE in 2020.
Sasha Banks and AEW.
While Banks wrestled in Japan for a bit and then signed for AEW. Now if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video of 10 wrestlers who ruined their opponent's move. Hope you had a great...
Alright y'all, another great video, man. Let me know down below in the comments on what y'all thought of my reaction to this video and who you feel like they left off this list. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.